Welcome to the very first Aping Altcoins. Every Wednesday I'm going to be sharing a handful of altcoins that I'm looking to trade. Okay. Taking a look at Bitcoin here, we are range bound, which has been awesome in the Discord. We have smashed 3 shorts and 2 longs since posting this on Sunday night, which was great because I also posted a channel tutorial on how to trade channels. Posted that on Sunday, and it was just great that we had this follow-up for the week as a live example, right? Ultimately, short the top, long the bottom. For Bitcoin, I'd really love to see some degree of a fake out to the upside and take out this area here before then, breaking down. Otherwise, we can look for some degree of a failed auction here. Taking out these lows as there's, I'm sure, a lot of liquidity built up here. Otherwise, this is sort of the next area that I'm looking to long, okay? In the meantime, I'll just continue to trade the range. We'll go take a look at BTCD on a higher time frame. We'll look at the weekly. And we can see that we are still in this triangle here. We had that fail auction up, gained acceptance back into, took out this low. It's ultimately, I'm looking for some degree of a continuation on rallying for alts against BTC. It is possible maybe that we see some kind of a move up before then, getting that move down. But it's to be seen. There still really isn't much strength here, although we are starting to see some degree of a rounding out there. All right, so moving on, we will be starting with Avax. We'll go down to a lower time frame. Last time when we traded this, we were saying that ultimately it's trying to get back inside this range, right, to break above and start trading in here. It's still somewhat holding it, but it's looking like it may lose that level. We can see here that we have this nice uptrend here. That at this point, if we put this on log scale, you can really see it too. At this point, Avax is holding this trend line. Okay. When we traded this last, we were looking at this area here, August 17th, last Wednesday. I did get the short here, being that we lost the daily, back tested it, and then, we had our move down. Bounced at this key level here that we can see was support, resistance, and then had some degree of an SR flip for continuation, and now we're, back testing it once again. So in the event that BTC does find some legs here and gets a run up, I'm going to be looking to short this area here. As you can see, I have an alert set for a potential short. And then in the event that this area is lost, I would look to long this untapped monthly down here. It does look like if I were to just draw this out here, this ultimately this point of control. Let me just look here once. Yeah, it was so below there, this value area. Let's just take a look at this overall range. Yeah, so what would then be, ultimately this, we'll hide this one here. Ultimately this area here is kind of what I would be looking at as the next area of support. So I do have that here for a potential long setup. In the meantime, what we could expect to see is if we did get the breakdown before, if we didn't get some degree of a fake up, ultimately we would look for something like this for continuation, right? Give us that early signal of market structure change, break this uptrend, back test it for then some degree of a move down. So then again, we can, be aware of this scenario and just kind of keep an eye on it. Okay. All right, we'll move on to, oh, you know what? There is one more thing I did want to look at here. Just so, just something to keep an eye on. Avax is also range bound, much like BTC, okay? Very simply, bottom to top, to bottom to top, to bottom to top, okay? So it's just something else that you can look to trade as well. However, we are coming up on that trend line, so there could be some degree of a change in this structure here. All right, moving on to Doge. So again, we were looking at it back here. I did catch this short, being that we had lost this level. I had some degree of a back test. and then, you know, continuation downwards, cutting straight through this area of support, which is a huge sign of weakness, to then this area that I was looking at here. It held really nicely. We tapped this monthly here as well as this local point of control for some degree of a small bounce. But ultimately we can see that, you know, Doge is in something of a downtrend still. Okay, Avax is going sideways. Doge is in some degree of a downtrend at this point. But for now, this area is still holding a support, so it's support until proven otherwise. In the event that BTC does get that move up, you know, I have an alert here for a potential short, looking at about this area here, okay, on some degree of a back test to confirm it as resistance. Otherwise, my next area of support would be, you know, down here at this local value area low in this daily. Not a massive area of support. You can see I have an alert set here. However, if it's lost, ultimately we're looking at new lows, okay? And again, this is a similar scenario where, you know, breakout, back test, downwards. Similar as, you know, the other one there. We'll just take a look at this, not on log. Yeah, very similar. Okay, taking a look at DOT. Let's go on to a 4-hour time frame. Made an attempt to break back into this range here, failed to do so, broke back down into, you know, ultimately this larger lower range here that it's been trading in for some time now. We can see we did get a bounce right at that support level that we were looking at last Wednesday. This is another one that I caught on this short when we had lost this local value area high, ultimately getting us back into this range here. You can see we had a nice bottoming pattern, taking out early longers, finding a low here, holding the monthly as support, breaking through market structure change, holding this high time frame, point of control support for then some degree of a continuation. So as Avax was going sideways, the Doge was in a downtrend. DOT managed to break out of its downtrend and find some degree of small continuation. And if we look at this here, we can see that it was a very nice 10% bounce. Okay, that's actually a really good move given the overall market. So again, I'm looking for something similar that we've been looking at for some of the other coins here. I have an alert here for a potential short up in this area if we were to back test it in the event that BTC does get its move up. Otherwise, this is kind of an interesting point. I think that this is a really key area of support for DOT. If it is lost, you know, ultimately we're looking at our lows again. And we can see that this area, this high time frame value area low, really held as support. And ultimately we would look to it to hold as support again. I do have an alert set for some degree of a long to see if we could get one, but I do have here check Bitcoin because, again, at this point we're revisiting our lows. Okay, whereas for many of our other coins and alternatives that is not the case. We still have some ways away from our lows. So this is just something to keep in mind. This is sort of the last area of support, and before that, you know, we're looking at new lows in 2022. Okay. All right, on to Solana. So we did draw a trend line for yes, and we can see that we're just trading in this range still. Look at that. Yeah, so I mean, and I believe I went over this, you know, we had this range that we put in over here, and really what is happening is that we're simply back in that range, as you can see. So with that in mind, we can see that the value area low ties up really nicely with this weekly here, and that the value area high really cut into these highs here, giving us a resistance along with that point of control there. Let's just do, I'm curious to do a poll here. Yeah, so this point of control here. So that would be a really big area of resistance. And yeah, we could look to some degree of a support here. So I have an alert down here in the event that this is lost, because this really is kind of the last area of support where if this isn't held, then, you know, we're going to likely make new lows, at least for some degree of a swing failure pattern down here. So this is a really important one to keep an eye on. I am going to add an alert here and just say potential long check BTC. And the reason I want to check BTC is because, like I said, if this is lost, we're looking to new lows, and it's not very far down. So we can see we front ran the monthly here. We can take a look at where we bounced from. If I just do a fib pull here, we can see that we bounced from the 618 and we are holding it as support here. We still have our monthly below, which was untapped. So this area here really is a key area of resistance, of support, and it is being held right now. That monthly is still untapped, so maybe we could see some degree of a move down to take out the lows here. It's just something to keep an eye on and get that monthly tap. I do have an alert here in the event of a move up. This point of control, the weekly and the daily up here, I would imagine this would act as resistance in the event that Bitcoin does get that move up and Solana does follow suit with it. I'd be looking to short that area for then I'll move back down. In the event that this area is lost, then this would be my next area of support. And if this is lost, ultimately we're probably going to be looking to make new lows, and this will be a really key area to keep an eye on, especially this untapped weekly. Things don't oftentimes have to go straight down. They can have market structure with it. So there could be scalp long opportunities here, but it's important to watch the levels. We can see if we would have tried to long this along with the trend line here, that we would have lost money, right? We would have been stopped out because it cut straight through it. So there's no reason that these couldn't get cut through as well, given the macro conditions. So it's just really important to keep an eye on that area. But ultimately, these would be my levels that I'm looking for here. And as we can see, really important to keep an eye on, Solana did break through this downtrend, whereas its peers had not yet. Okay, so to back test that, maybe even here and not make it up, for then some degree of a move down would be kind of the next logical move.